Welcome to Truckee Talks. We knew it would come to this, talking trash on the show. But we're not just talking any trash. Don't get out your gossip logs. What we're talking about here is recycling in the town of Truckee and the surrounds. It's important that we all know what we can and cannot dispose of and what can be reused or reduced within our community. Our guests here today are Beth Ingles. Beth, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And Beth, you're the chairperson of the Citizens Waste Management Advisory Committee.
Right.
That's a mouthful. And that's a town committee?
It's a newly formed committee, started by the town council.
Okay.
To help.
I'm sorry.
To help the town deal with the solid waste issues that are confronting us.
Great. And Kevin Delaney. Kevin, you're with Tahoe Truckee Sierra Disposal.
Yes.
And you've got a couple of titles. You're in charge of coordinating their recycling programs, and you're also the operations manager.
Right. I'm the operations manager for the material recovery facility and transfer stations for the company.
Oh, there's a handful. Now, have the
is.
two of you worked together before?
We just recently met, but I'm sure we will be working together quite a bit in the future.
Okay. Beth, let's go back to that Citizens Committee. You said it was formed by the town. Who comprises the committee, and what's your goal? What's your charge?
Basically, the town engineer, Dan Wilkins, sent out a message in the paper in January asking interested citizens to contact him if they wanted to join the committee. And a group of 16 people from different avenues sent in their requests, and then the town council appointed us, and right now we've got about 14 active members.
And you've got a pretty impressive resume. When I look back over this, recycling is not new for you.
No, I've been recycling myself for probably 15 years, and it was a hobby at first, and then as a volunteer, and then it actually turned into a career for me when I lived in Virginia, and I helped a rural region there, about 500 square miles, start their first ever recycling program. So when I moved to Truckee 4 years ago, I sort of took a break from that whole scene, but I'm happy to be back into it.
No, it's great. I'm sure we're happy to have your expertise on the committee.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about what the committee intends to do. What are you trying to accomplish in the community?
First of all, we just want to get the word out that we have recycling programs going on. Obviously, the biggest one we're trying to promote is the Blue Bag program, which the disposal company is running. We want people to know what is recyclable, where they can recycle, that it's easy to do it right when they put out their regular trash at the curb with the Blue Bag program. And we really want to get it into people's minds that we do have state mandates. The state has said that we need to recycle or divert from the waste stream 50% of our waste by the year 2000.
Now, that's a number we've heard before, and Kevin, maybe I'll refer to you on this one. I've heard 50% reduction of a source, but I don't know 50% from what? What are we trying to reduce from?
Well, basically from the general waste stream. They go back years and get numbers and say, okay, this is about the average tonnage that it has been coming in for a certain amount of years. And from that number, say, okay, what do we do? How do we get to 25%, number one? And again, the goal for the year 2000 is 50%.
That's a big reduction.
Yes.
That's sizable.
And, number one, it has to be there, and there is in the state mandates, there is a clause that says, look, it's basically a goodwill clause. Are you doing everything that you can do, to recycle?
Now, in doing everything you can do, I think part of that must be outreach. And Kevin, I know that you're involved in a lot of educational programs. Tell us some of the things that you do right now.
Oh boy, spring is my busy time. I love it. Along with running the material recovery facility, I do all the public relations in the schools, adult groups. Beth and I met when I did a presentation to the council. And spring being, time things come alive. And we go into basically every school in the area, preschool through junior high, some high schools, and just talking about environmental issues.
Now, it looks like you make it fun, too. We've got a still story we can bring up on the screen of Riley Raccoon. What is this raccoon, and what does he do? And
Riley came out a couple of years ago. We started doing some parades, and we came up with the mascot, that being Riley the Recycle Raccoon.
And we see him here with all these kids and their great hats.
That was the Snowfest parade, And as you can see, all the kids are garbed in blue bags.
They're recycled kids.
They're trying to get the word out on the blue bag. It is a great way to recycle. Very convenient. I think it's going to really work.
We're going to be showing in the second half of this show the blue bags and what you can and cannot put into those blue bags. So we'll really get down to the nuts and bolts of that and illustrate the things you can. I think part of the reason people don't recycle is because they think it's a hassle. And maybe you guys are here to tell us it's not such a big deal. It's not so hard to do.
Definitely.
Good, good. Where does our waste go right now? If people just throw everything in the garbage can, put the garbage can out on the curb, and the nice folks at Tahoe Truckee Sierra Disposal come and take it away, where does it go?
Right. Well, it doesn't just disappear. You know, it goes to our facility. All the residential garbage and most of our commercial garbage in the Truckee Tahoe area goes to what's called the Material Recovery Facility. And that garbage is dumped in an inside facility and ran across conveyor belts. And there are people on these conveyor belts that are picking out recyclables, everything from wood and steel to your basics, aluminum cans, cardboard, and newspapers.
Now, a thought that might come up for a viewer is, if you're already picking through it, then why do we need to separate it out?
You know, Maya, that's a great question. I hear it a lot. And if you're like me, you put your garbage in, you know, in the garbage can where there's a sack lining. You tie it up, and theoretically my kids take it out to the curb on Thursday. Well, the number one problem in a material recovery facility, excuse me, is getting those bags open. You know, I've got one guy with a knife trying to get these bags open.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
And where the blue bag comes in handy, we can't get to all the bags. It's an impossibility.
And the bags that don't get opened get put in the landfill.
Go off into the transfer station and get landfilled. So using a recycled drop-off container or using this blue bag facility or the blue bag program, it's just a must.
What are the limitations of this site? How soon is this site going to fill up?
Well, all of our garbage right now is we send it to Lockwood Landfill in Reno. And the life on Lockwood Landfill, I can't exactly tell you how many years, but it's well into the year 2000. So we're looking really good. Real good.
Great, but we will run out of room.
Well, you know, there's a landfill that closes every single day of the week. We are, you know, in a country, in a world where there is a landfill crisis. We are running out of room. So we've really got to make some quality decisions right now on what we're doing, you know,
Well,
to make less waste.
Maybe we need to back up a little bit and talk about not so much the recycling that we have in our homes, but how to avoid getting to that, how to avoid creating that much garbage in our homes. I'd like either one of you to address that.
Well, I think we need to look at reducing. Recycling is a great way of getting rid of the waste that we actually, you know, put out at the curb with our regular trash, but we need to reduce that amount first. So we can make product choices. We can buy recycled products, which sort of closes the loop. We can try to look for packaging that involves less waste in the long run.
An industry that comes to my mind is the music industry, which a number of years ago came out with the CDs in just huge packages. The packages were 3 times the size of the physical product you were buying. And now you just get them in the cello wrap, which is absolutely impossible to open, but there's less packaging.
Waste, right?
Are there other instances of that? Are there pressures in these type of manufacturers to reduce the amount of packaging they use?
I think, I'll just say something quickly, I think more and more we're seeing that people are producing things in recycled packages, and that's been a big change over the last 10 years. They are using recycled materials to make their various covers and packages that we then can recycle over again. And I think there's been a lot of outcry from the public saying, why do we need something so large when this is actually what we're buying? So I think there's a lot more that needs to be done, but I think some good changes have taken place.
And then what you're saying too is, as consumers, we need to be watchful. And if you have a choice of a product that has excessive packaging versus a product that may not, or a package that may use or may have been recycled, then maybe that's what we should be looking for.
Definitely.
Right. I think Beth has covered it real well. The pre-cycling. We need, you know, to turn on those brains when we go shopping. It's and not buy the overpackaged. And you might want to even go up to the manager of the store and say, I was really looking for a notebook, but you don't have one made out of recycled paper. I'm going to go down the street, and I know they have them there. And it's a little aggressive, but things are heading in the right direction.
What kind of products do you typically see available recycled? Paper products are one that comes to mind for me. I know there are household paper products like paper towels, and we'll be showing that a little later on the show. But what other kinds of products should people be looking for that resemble or represent recycling?
Well, number one that comes to mind is plastics. When you see a plastic container in the store, what you want to do is you want to turn it over. And you're going to see a recycle sign. And this might be news to quite a few people out there. But right now, the only plastics that are recyclable are a number 1 and a number 2. You're going to see a recycle sign with the number 1 through 7. And the plastic items right now are 1 through 2 that we can recycle.
That are marketable for
Exactly.
the people that collect our recyclables.
So
in
as you're
other
looking
words.
at those numbers, if there's a little triangle with a number stamped inside of it, and it's anything higher than a 2, then we can't
market
recycle
that
it
right
here.
now. There's no one
And you
taking
can make a choice and try to only buy the ones in the 2s. A lot of cottage cheese containers and yogurt containers and things like that are not 1 or 2. And there's not much we can do about that other than, try not to buy them.
And as you said, talk to the store managers. If there is a product out there that would suffice or would match or would even be better than what you're buying and is available in a recyclable container, we need to be looking at that. I think that there is a mindset among the children, and it's so good to see the education of the children. They bring home the message to the families that, hey, Mom, Dad, this is important. We need to not be creating so much garbage. But as all of us take a look at what we're putting out on the curb every Tuesday morning or Thursday morning or whenever the garbage trucks come by, you look at those bags and just the bulk, and that's taking up space somewhere. And it's really heartening to know that the two of you are out there and you've got the committee out there sort of pulling together to educate all of us on how we can reduce and reuse and recycle. We'll be back in just a minute. We're going to be showing you some examples of materials that you can and cannot recycle within the town of Truckee, and we look forward to seeing you when we come right back. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about recycling. We've got Beth Ingalls and Kevin Delaney here. Welcome back. You guys were talking earlier about the Blue Bag program, and this we really need to talk about and spend some time on. First of all, the Blue Bags are literally bags that you can purchase in the grocery store. They're bright blue, they're translucent, and when you have, let me see if I can turn these around so you can actually see them. These are two of the brands that are available, and these are available in grocery stores here in town and throughout the area.
Right.
Okay, so you want to look for these bags because these bags are what you can place your contents in, your recyclables, and then leave it outside of your garbage can. So it's separated from the rest of your garbage, and it's clearly noted that it's recyclables. Beth, what do you have in your recycle bag there? What are the kinds of things we should be recycling?
Well, everything in my bag is something that should not be going in with your regular garbage. For instance,
The milk gallon
milk
container.
containers. Just look on the bottom. You'll see a number 2 there, and that's your sign. It's nice to rinse them out. It's nice for everyone, you as well, before you put it in your bag. And crush it a little bit so you can have some more room in there.
So you have more room. Should you be
Right.
flattening everything that goes in the recycle bag?
It helps for your own space. I'm not sure if it makes it easier once you have it up there to market.
It really doesn't make it easier, but I think for your own space in the back,
Right.
you'll want to
So it's okay
condense everything
to
you
crush your
possibly
cans
can.
and what
Sure.
have you. Okay.
And washing them is great for, come with the summer months coming out with ants and things like that. But if you don't, that's okay too.
What about
A little
labels? Can you
process.
leave labels on?
Yes. definitely.
Labels are fine.
So we're making this easy for you, folks. Work with us here.
Very easy.
I just want to say, someone called me today, and she said, you know, can I do this? I just heard about the Blue Bag program. Can I take part in that? And I said, of course. Do you have trash pickup at your house? And she said, yes. And just get a blue bag and start separating your trash. She had been taking it all the way down to Rockland or something, where she knew there was another recycling program. So we really want to get the word out about this.
Yeah.
This is here and ready for everyone to use. Another thing that you can do, cereal boxes.
Cardboard, great.
It's good to take the liner out. The liner is not disposable. It's not recyclable as far as I know.
So those wax bags that are inside the
Right.
box. Okay.
And just the box itself. Of course, this is a number 1 plastic bottle, PET. Again, look on the bottom.
And again, this isn't dependent on brand names here. What you're looking for is the stamp on the bottom of the bottle.
So I should have taken the labels off.
That's okay. Calistoga just got a plug. They can pay us later.
Find out about what we eat at my house. Metal cans, bimetal cans. These are all fine. It's nice to rinse them out.
So again, is that pretty much any can you would pull out of your pantry that can go in there?
Right.
You don't have to look for a stamp on those?
No,
Okay.
metal's good.
And you can leave the label on. Nice and easy.
Aluminum, another good one, and also one of the recyclables that actually has a fairly decent value in the recycling marketplace.
Interesting. Okay.
And almost every aluminum can that you buy has been recycled already, so that's always
So it's
good to
making
know.
its way through the loop.
Right.
How many times can aluminum be recycled?
Well, you know, it can be recycled over and over again. You might lose 1 to 2% in the process. But you can purchase that soda in the store, and 6 weeks later,
It comes right
you're
back.
grabbing a
Purchase it
can and
again.
It could be the same.
Right.
It's aluminum and steel are very,
That's
very
great.
recyclable.
That's great.
What else have we not covered? Have we done glass?
No, we haven't done glass. Now this
Glass.
is clear glass.
Clear glass, brown glass is fine.
Green glass?
Green glass is okay too.
Right. The only thing we really want to watch out for is ceramics. They're definitely garbage. They tend to blow up in the recycling process.
That's not a good. So if you
Light bulbs and things
crack
of
a
that
mug
nature.
or a light bulb, you
Right.
don't want to throw that in with your recycling.
Do not.
Right. And
Do
any
not.
broken glass you don't want to put in this bag because
Okay.
it's going to be a danger not only to the person taking it out but the garbage person at the curb.
So if it's
Yeah.
broken, it goes on in your regular garbage.
Yeah, or
Right, it's, yeah.
basically.
Okay.
Or bring it into a
Recycling center. Okay.
That would work real well.
Now, we're going to be talking, too, in a few minutes about where some of the recycling centers are around town and in the area, because there's a few other sites. This is so easy for me. I just love it. You know, put it out by the curb. I don't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to go in the back of my Subaru.
Right.
It's great. I love it.
Sometimes we end up with cardboard, and it's a fairly cumbersome item. Now, something like this, obviously, you can fold right up and stick in the bag. When you have an excess of cardboard or one product or another, let's say you had a party and ended up with quite a few bottles or cans, you can take those around to several sites. We have one at the middle school. Tahoe Donner has some recycling bins, and if I could just say, use this as a plug, they do need to be used for recycling only,
Right.
not for dumping trash. And if the dumping continues, especially in the Tahoe Donner area, we may lose those bins altogether. So it's really to everyone's benefit to use them as they need to be used.
Make sure your neighbors know, too, that it's not garbage that goes there. It's recycling
That's
items.
a good point,
Right.
Beth.
Okay. Now, the cardboard sort of makes me stop and think about newspaper. If you get a daily newspaper up here, by the end of the week, especially with the Sunday paper, you've got a fairly thick pile. What can you do with your newspapers?
Well, it's another one of those really recyclable items. And I'm sure that this newspaper is probably printed on a fair amount of recyclable stock. I don't know whether they've said
Yeah.
now 40% or not, but newspaper's fine for
Right.
the program.
And because newspaper's so bulky, you can use a blue bag, or can you just wrap it in twine or string and leave it out, or what are the...
You take that one.
We'd like you to use the blue bag.
Okay.
Because if you tie it up and leave it at the curb, let's say it snows or rains.
Never does that here.
Yeah, exactly, especially today. So if we have it covered in the blue bag, it won't get contaminated.
Okay.
But let's say you have a whole bunch of it. You know, I've got to use 8 blue bags. Well, bring it to the material recovery facility, and we'd be glad to take any of the cardboard paper, of course for free. And at our buyback center, with aluminum cans, I guess we'll cover that later.
We'll talk about that a little bit, yeah.
But you're welcome to bring any of your recyclables to the material recovery facility. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 to 4.
And why don't you tell us where, since we've gotten that far?
Okay, Cabin Creek Road. We're 3 miles south of Truckee on Highway 89.
Right.
And come up and, we'd love to give you a tour. And we open that up to any groups or schools, too.
Oh,
We're
great.
very proud of our facility, and we'd like to give an open invitation to anyone who'd like to come by.
What else do you have in the bag? I know we've got just a few minutes left.
Let
and
me
we
just
wanna try to
go
get through
quickly
some.
through here. This is a container that happens to be, many lids end up not being like a number 2 when the bottoms are, but this is one container that's actually number 2, lid and bottom.
So watch for that as you use jars as well, or plastic containers. You want to make
Yeah.
sure that the lid may
Yeah.
or may not go.
Mostly in your glass jars and your plastic containers, you'll want to take the lids off.
Okay.
This is one example where the lid had actually worked. Now, another thing you can do with this, obviously, is reuse it before you recycle it.
So don't go out and buy that Tupperware. You've got now
Right.
I've got some Tupperware people mad at me. I didn't mean to say that.
I think, well, other than magazine, office paper, we don't have to go through everything, but this is another example of something that you can recycle.
It can go. So you get your magazines every month, and again, that can go in the blue bag.
Catalogs.
That's a lot of space right there. That's a
Definitely.
lot of space. Kevin, I know you've got some great examples of what can happen with recycled materials. And if you
Right.
could show us that, that would be great.
Well, Maya, again, the pre-cycling, going into the stores and looking for the overpackaging and reusing whenever you can. Recycling is the last step. It's the last thing we want to do, and it's very important, but it is the last step. Although if we do recycle, and everybody's recycling, it really is a wasted effort, nonetheless. On the other end, we buy recycled. When we're going into the store, we need to take a look for, made of recycled material. And this is a great one.
There will be so many people that can relate to this. I love this example.
Any kids out there that have in the schools, they've seen this before. But this, Beth, if we tried to have you wear this it really isn't going to wear too
It's
well.
not very flattering.
It's a plastic number 1 peach soda bottle. Well, Patagonia happens to make a nice fleece jacket out of a number 1 peach soda bottle. This is probably 80% plastic.
So all of you fleece wearers out there, and I know there are a lot of you, you're wearing plastic bottles, and that's great.
Kind of a plug for Patagonia, but they're doing the right thing.
You've got to support the companies that are doing the right thing.
And we've also, at our material recovery facility, we have an educational room, and we found a carpet that is made out of a number 1 peach soda bottles again.
So those of you that are thinking about building a house or recarpeting, you may want to take a look into, and now this is called Envirotech. We're going to go ahead and give them a plug just because they're here. But again, looking for sources of recycled materials.
Very, very important, because this recycling won't work unless we go out and by closing the loop and buying recycled. It's very, very important.
And we showed the 3 R's during the break as well: reduce, reuse, recycle. And recycle, you said, being the last step. And then, Beth, of course, you said close the loop, make sure that you're buying products that have already been recycled. So great information. Let's go back a little bit and talk about some of these sites. We have just a few minutes left, and I know there are several sites in town. Beth, you mentioned Tahoe Donner being one. Also the Sierra Mountain Middle School. And I think a lot of people don't know that that's back there. And this came out a couple of years ago.
I'd love to take that one, because I'm very, very proud of the recycling efforts that Sierra Mountain Middle School has done. There's a lady, well, I don't know if I can mention names, but Sumaka, who's done a great job with the students there, getting them recycled, recycling. We couldn't find a spot in Truckee, in the town of Truckee, a couple of years ago for a drop-off recycle bin. So the 7th grade class of Sierra Mountain Middle School had to have a project for a competition in Sacramento, and I had a problem. We needed a recycle bin. So I brought that problem to the leadership class. And 3 weeks later, that bin is right there behind the Sierra Sun, near Sierra Mountain Middle School. And it's a 30-yard drop-off container. that is there because of the students at the school.
It was a great project, and I remember when that article came out in the Sun a couple of years ago. Well, once that kind of information comes up and dies back down, some people forget about it, and some people just never knew about it. You can actually enter Sierra Mountain Middle School right next to the fire department on Donner Pass Road, not downtown, but the other end of town. Tell us the kinds of materials that can be brought there. Are they the same that goes in your blue bag, or are there other materials that may be brought there?
Definitely. Everything that was shown that can go into a blue bag would go into a drop-off container. The drop-off containers are two-sided. One, just for cardboard. So if you have an excess of cardboard and you don't stuff it in that blue bag, bring it to one of our containers. And they're free. But please, again, just recyclables. The abuse with garbage and hazardous materials is we're just going to end up they're going to be a problem.
Kevin, you brought up a word that I want to hit on for just a minute, hazardous materials. People need to know where to bring their cans of empty paint, or empty cans of paint, where they bring their used cans of household cleaners, some of which can be very toxic, and motor oil. And I know that's a lot of information, but briefly, is there an annual pickup day for those kinds of materials? Is there a site where they can always bring them?
Well, Maya, I'm glad you brought that up. Because in the past, we've had usually one day a year to bring your household hazardous materials. And starting at the beginning of summer, we are building a site just for household hazardous materials. And we'll have hazmat days, which they're called, 2 to 3 times a month all summer long.
Oh, great. So look for that in the paper?
Look for it in the Sierra Sun.
Great.
And maybe possibly, look for it in the Sierra Sun.
Okay, we'll start there. That's a great place to start. Okay, we have just a couple of minutes left, and we've covered so much information. Beth, is there anything else you want to get out there before I cut you off?
I'd just like to hit on the 50% by 2000 goal. And I think one really important thing to remember, and one easy way to think about it, is if we can just cut our waste in half, each and every one of us, in half, we'll more than make our goal. And we've talked about all the elements that involves, but it's really pretty simple. It's that simple.
Just think about the packaging you're buying, think about the materials you're using, think about how you can not use so much to begin with, what you can reuse at home, and then think about what you can recycle. Certainly the Blue Bag program makes it so easy. There really isn't any excuse not to do it.
Exactly.
More information, you can contact the Citizens Waste Management Advisory Committee. You can contact them through Dan Wilkins at Town Hall. You can also contact Tahoe Truckee Sierra Disposal, and Kevin Delaney, I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of phone calls.
Not a problem.
There's recycling centers all around town. Again, Sierra Mountain Middle School and Tahoe Donner are one of several. Beth Ingalls, Kevin Delaney, thank you both so much for being on the show and bringing this information. And we'll watch for those blue bags on the curbs.
All right.
Thanks. And thanks for
Maya.
joining us. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Rex.
Yes, Bart.
I think we need to have a party.
You mean like a hoedown?
Well, no, I mean more like a soiree.
You mean like balloons and hats,
Yep,
streamers?
that's exactly what I mean.
How are we going to do that?
For all your party supplies, it's Event Masters, your one-stop party shop.
Sure is fun, isn't it, Rex?
Yep. Could use a few more people, though.
Event Masters, you bring the people, we'll bring everything else.